So, I think you were here last night, so you got the spiel. I prefer to teach by helping you ask questions you can find the answer to. So let's play for a bit, and then we'll talk. Sound good?
Cool. Yeah, for real.
Great. What up, Realm Man? Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, puncher types are fun. I play Steve Fox in Tekken whenever I play Tekken, which is not often, but I do it. All right.
Don't try to install updates from Monster Hunter. That was not fun.
Yeah, it turns out the PS4 got us a little too close to the PC gaming experience.
Yeah.
Oh no!
What am I going to get out of
this? Hey! Oh, got some helium voice. Oh.
That's not going to help me much. Ah!
So the first thing you need to get better at with Faust is you need better RNG. So work on that for a bit.
Ah, whatever. We live and die by that. We're used to it. Oh, I love how long that is. Remember you saying last night that move gives Faust a hard time?
Yep.
You're not wrong. Oh, believe in that.
Oh.
There's your better RNG. Oh, jeez.
Oh, nice.
Aha! Right.
Oh. Nice conversion.
Low profile. How could you?
So right now, we're doing voice in PS4, but it's probably. What's up?
I might not be. I might not be like loud enough. I know my.
Oh no! You're coming through just fine. It's Meta Regress is next up, and he doesn't have a mic for PS4. He's asking about getting voice chat. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Oh, cool. That's alright.
Again with the trouble button.
Ah, whatever. Oh. Sick. Oh.
Nice.
Alright.
Oop. Nice. Oh, nice. Ooh. My donut.
Alright.
Ooh, the blocks. Nice.
There is another chip that I've been learning from.
Oh yeah.
One of Connecticut's best players is Strife, and she is chip player.
Oh cool.
I just started learning from her a little bit because she happens to live, I don't know, 10 minutes from me.
Nice.
I didn't know that until now.
That's awesome.
I went to a local and just lost to her 50 times in a row. So I've actually played this match kind of a lot.
Okay.
Or at least, well, over a short time.
Sure. I was gonna say losing to 50 times in one session just sounds like a session to me. So
yeah, that's fine. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, oof, right.
Okay. So
All right.
before I give you my spiel, was there anything that stood out in the games we played as something that went either particularly well or particularly poorly for you?
Well, I mean,
Or rather,
the one
things
thing
that you did well or poorly.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I like, I mean, I catch myself doing it like all the time, and I definitely was seeing it in this as well. Is, I mean, it kind of varies from character to character, but with somebody who can move as fast as Chip can, I am throwing shit way too recklessly.
Sure.
Like when I'm not safe to do so. Like, you know, so I'm just opening myself up for you to just like come in, you know, do stuff. The I'm still, and it's like a point that I'm still getting used to. I'm actually really proud of myself that I blitzed once.
Yeah.
I'm extremely bad at using the system mechanics. Like I never dead angled in any of those. And like,
Sure.
if I can block stuff, I probably should find the time to actually use that. because like I've learned well when you were talking to me a little while ago
Yeah.
about not FDing all the time, so I actually have meter and now I want to use it
Yeah.
properly. So there's like that's the kind of sort of the stuff that I'm still kind of trying to work on,
Gotcha.
especially just like when I don't know what to do, I too defaultly just throw an item out, even when it's not smart to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
So that's a good starting point. When do you feel like you're safe to throw an item?
I mean, honestly, I should be doing it more just after like far slash is blocked or stuff like that, or when you are like hella far from me. Basically, like when we're in like a more far away neutral situation than some of the times I was doing it.
Yeah. So in Guilty Gear is a little weird compared to like what other fighting games have you played?
I mean, a whole variety of them, but I mean like
what have you gone hard on?
Honestly, probably this is the game that I spent the most time with. But other than that, it's like I played a lot of Street Fighter 4, obviously.
Sure.
But
So the thing, one of the things about Guilty Gear that is really important to get used to is that space can be collapsed super fast, right? Obviously, Chip is one of the fastest characters in the game. He has a teleport. Like, space kind of almost doesn't exist against Chip, but in general, because characters accelerate so quickly when they run at you or when they air dash at you, knowing whether something is safe or not isn't like your best clue for that isn't always hey, they're at this distance, so I'm okay. Sometimes it is, right? But like a lot of times you'll find if you want to find, or at least if you want to find more opportunities to steal, like a chance to throw an item, you kind of want to pay attention to when am I going in and when am I going out, right? Kind of like footsies in Street Fighter 4, right? Those movement patterns still happen in this game. People rarely just run at you all the time, right? There's usually an in and an out to it, because if they run at you all the time, then they're going to be super predictable in their movement, right? So you can kind of learn to just pay a little bit more attention to the screen when we're at full screen, right? Because if you look a little closely, you'll find more opportunities to throw items. Now that's kind of a nuanced point. The bigger point is, in general, you are not thinking about space in a way that's actually helping you win those neutral engagements, right? So you have an understanding of how items can control space, and I saw you using them, and you would throw one out, and then you'd see what you get, and based on what you got, you would play your hand accordingly, which is great. That is the core of Faust play, and it seemed like you had a plan for any given item. And yeah, you got helium a couple times, so that kind of sucks. But you want to think of Chip, and any character really, as approaching from a couple known vectors, right? And you want to look at your options and see what you have to control those vectors. So I saw you starting to figure that out. You're like, oh shit, far slash is not catching the run-up stuff. For the matches that we were playing, I was only basically trying to run in on you or come in at a pretty typical jump angle. There were a couple times that I used like a cross-up or whatever, but for the most part, I tried to keep my approach vectors pretty consistent, right? And what you want to be doing is you want to be paying attention to how often I'm using each one, because that'll tell you which buttons to use, right? So you had stand kick ready, but you didn't have stand kick ready when I was coming at you. You'd press it other times, right? For controlling the ground, because I would just run up in front of you a lot, I think Faust's crouch punch is super useful for that kind of stuff. But it's kind of on you to figure out, because I don't know the matchup that well from Faust's side. Right. It's kind of on you to figure out like what you can do to make it more intimidating for me to enter that space, right? So when I'm playing people in these one-on-one training sessions, I'm trying not to use teleport until they make me use it, right? So if you had been shutting me down in my typical approach vectors, then I would have started using instant air dash and teleport a lot more to get in. But I didn't have to, because you were making it super easy for me to just get in and win with like run-up crouch punch or something, right? So at a very basic level, you got to learn how to control that space that's in front of you and like right above you, right? Once you control that, then I have to start getting more creative, right? I either have to bait your stuff out, so I have to fake running in and then like FD break or something. Come in with a big bet like a 6P, where if I whiff that because you jump over it or whatever, then I have to spend meter to take that back, or else I get screwed. Or teleport, right, which is a huge risk. Um, Admittedly, Faust is going to have a harder time in this matchup than probably any other matchup when it comes to controlling space. But when I play against like super solid Fausts, they make it intimidating for me to go in, and they make me want to use teleport a lot. So if you take that as the goal, right, just like once you get better at figuring out how to shut down that space in front of you, then we get to play the rest of the game, and that's where Faust has more of a chance in this matchup, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. I mean, like, I think that the fact that my character is so damn tall means that I'm like so much more comfortable like in the space, like an IED range basically.
Yeah.
So like I just like 5P and 2P are not options that I use nearly enough because that's what covers that space that is beneath his tall ass leg when he's using 5K.
Yeah.
Like if I'm honest, I actually think that if you're running at me and I try to 5K, you will go underneath it.
That is, if I run in with a crouch with a 2P, then that might happen. I could probably also 6P it if I wanted to.
Yeah, like if you were like you low profiled my far slash, I think you would do the same with that.
Yeah.
But see, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that like 5P and 2P are both 5P is the fastest thing to my knowledge.
And so that low profiling the far slash is actually a good example because you press that button a little bit too late, right? You were. If you look at where I was like right next to you. Like when the low profile actually happened, I was like right next to you, and I think that's why it low profiled. I'm not sure what ranges that normally catches that, but if you had pressed that earlier, you would have caught me when I was still running, right? Instead of skidding in. So once you're a little more comfortable with covering those vectors, once you know the buttons that you want to play with in neutral, and it honestly can be as simple as just leaving your fingers on those specific buttons, right? Like while you're playing neutral. Then the next step is to get better at figuring out like which way I'm going so that you can press the right button at the right time, right? Like identifying the right buttons is the kind of easy part. The harder part is teaching yourself to recognize, oh, he's running in now. I should press the buttons that comes out like right before he runs into that space, right? And it can be weird because like, especially if you're used to Street Fighter 4, like people aren't often used to looking at the whole screen, right? In Street Fighter 4, if you're on opposite ends of the screen, you can't actually touch each other, right? And so you're kind of ineffectual. But because space collapses so quickly in this game, you're going to find that getting good at pressing the button so it comes out right before they run into it is super powerful for just controlling neutral a little more. And you don't have to win neutral every time. You just have to make me a little bit scared as a chip player, especially. Because if you start hitting me there, then I have to find something else to go to, or else I'm going to keep on losing, right? Like, if we both win like just run up engagements 50% of the time, like if that was even, you win the match because you have more health than I do. So
yeah, and I know how like what's the word, like strangling Faust can be because his normals are so like very, very good and all that kind of stuff. It's the length of them. It means you're right. I kind of have to I have to be ready even sooner because the thing's so damn long.
So If you're playing this matchup effectively, I am scared to jump because I will either get 5K'd if I go in at you, or I will eat a jumping hard slash from wherever, right? And so you just got to figure out the things that you can do to make me want to go at you in the air more often, and that's when your neutral game will start to open up. Also, as an aside, because I realized I just bagged on you on your neutral for the last 8 minutes. I saw you doing the beginning of some like decently advanced mobility stuff, right? You were using FDCs in the air, you were using teleports, but not too much, right? Like I could see you starting to get towards like using FDCs to control ground space too, and that's awesome. Like I know it's hard to figure out where spending time on movement pays off, but really, if I'm playing into you, it is incredibly valuable for you to be developing like better control of Faust's advanced mobility options, just because like I can feel the difference between a player who does that and a player who doesn't. So it's worth investing in even if you don't feel the returns offhand. Sound good?
Right. I mean, like I spent time like mechanically learning how to do the J2K faultless thing because it's useful to know. Now it's just a matter of just playing for a long time and finding out when and where it makes sense. Like I can do it, so now it's just the hard part.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that the hard part is also the fun part, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, GG's,
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
This was a pleasure.
yeah, yeah. Thanks very much. I hope we can play again sometime soon
For
when you're
sure.
not doing